What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to go ahead and do a little walkthrough of this early access title, Medieval Dynasty, which I've been playing for something around 40 hours of in-game time so far, and I'm really enjoying it. So I thought you guys might want to check it out. So stick around here in a second, and we'll get the game loaded up, and I'll kind of show you what the game's about and kind of what you're supposed to be doing in it. But hold on one second, and we'll check it out. If you haven't already done so, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Thanks. Alright, so this is Medieval Dynasty, and basically the game, a lot of people are making the comparison that the game is like Kingdom Come Deliverance, but from the perspective of like an NPC farmer, which is pretty accurate, I think. Basically, your guy, his father told him to run from invading warlords. I don't want to like ruin the story too much, but basically your character is a young man. You start off the game, I think you're 18 or 19 years old, and you've escaped from a war-torn area, and you're told to go meet with your uncle, who had been a fairly wealthy individual in this new area that's far from the war that you were living near. And so you go to try to find your uncle, and you find out that he's died, and that the local magistrate guy pretty much tells you, okay, well, no big deal, you know, here's some of his, I think he gives you some of the money, and pretty much just says, go build a house and start your life here, and, you know, you're welcome to kind of just pick a plot of land and go with it. So the game map is pretty good sized, although I think it's probably going to be, hopefully it'll be a lot bigger when they, when they finish early access. I hope that they add more to the map, or add more towns or something. But it's a pretty good sized game. It takes a good amount of time to walk from one side of the map to the other. I'd say like probably 5 to 10 minutes will get you from one side to the other if you're running at a good clip. And there's good different terrain differences. You got forest land, you got mountains, you got lakes, you've got streams and rivers and things like that, waterfalls. As you can see, the game's visuals are very nice. It uses the Unreal 4 engine, so that's definitely a plus in the graphics department. But looks real good, runs really well. I haven't really encountered any bugs where the game has crashed or anything, so that's been nice. A lot of early access games will be very buggy. The game does have bugs, but nothing that's been game-breaking for me yet. The bugs that I've encountered have mostly been like NPCs somehow ending up on the roof of the building for a little while. Like my wife was on the roof of my house for a while. I don't know how she got up there, but the next day I came back later and she was down, so I don't know how she got there, how she got back down without hurting herself, but it wasn't a big deal. And then the other glitch that I find commonly to be kind of annoying is when you hunt animals. A lot of times, there's a couple different kind of ways you can hunt, but pretty much, like I have a crossbow that I've purchased, and I make my own crossbow bolts for it. But you can get a bow and arrow, and you can also craft wooden spears out of logs. And so, like, you would go into a crafting menu and say, I wanted to craft a wooden spear out of a log, and then you can chuck that at an animal, for hunting purposes. And like you'll have a spear sticking out of the neck on the side of a deer, and the deer just keeps running around like it's no big deal. Or they might run funny. It slows them down a little bit sometimes, more because they run into obstacles with it. But it doesn't seem like they really even notice. They'll just go back to like eating or whatever, and it's like it's no big deal to them, which is pretty crazy. So those are the bugs I've encountered. Is NPCs sometimes doing weird things, and the hunting system I think needs to be worked on quite a bit. The other thing that I would like to see added to the game is, although there is a lot to do right now in it, I'm already, again, I've been playing for about 40 hours over the course of like a week. I've been playing the game, but I've pretty much done the majority of the things that there are to do in the game so far. Like I haven't completed all the storyline stuff yet, but pretty much I've done, I've built a settlement. I've got multiple types of structures. I've got a lot of settlers that I've talked into moving to my settlement. And it's been, that's pretty much what the game is making sure that they stay fed, that they have enough firewood, that their houses don't like need repair, because quite often, it just over time, there's wear and tear on the different structures that you build, and you have to go around and repair them with your building hammer. But I guess we'll go through some of the different crafting systems in the game, some of the different things you can do. It gets very in depth though, on all the different things that you need to do. So if you look in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, I've got the little green bar. That's a stamina bar. As I run, that'll drain, or if I try to build things or jump around or swing an axe or anything, that'll get drained a little bit. The red bar is your health, so you have 100 hit points. You can actually there's like perk trees and skill trees you can use to increase your hit points, but you start with 100. The yellow bar is my food meter, and then the blue bar is my water meter. So you need to eat, and you need to drink water, and those drain kind of fast for my liking. Like you have to pretty much constantly have food on you because pretty quickly you'll start to get hungry. So that's kind of a bit of an issue. And then the water, I think it never freezes, which is kind of funny. And that doesn't really have any effect on you. I would like to see them add, it's winter right now, for crying out loud. And I'm going to run out here in the lake, and it's like nobody cares. La, 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 I'm good. Like I have a temperature gauge down here telling me like if I'm too hot or too cold. Running around in freezing cold water doesn't have any effect on that. So that's clearly something that they need to add over time. But anyways, the little town you see over there is the first town in the game. You kind of start off up in the forest, up where I'm pointing at right now, and you come down to the town. Apparently that's like, your guy was living off again somewhere north of here, an area not accessible actually in the game, but that's where the story says you came from pretty much. And you came down to the south through the forest, and you come down to this town, and you start talking to various NPCs, and they give you little quests, and they, like I said, the one guy, I think his name is Unigast, which is sort of a strange name, but he pretty much tells you, like I said, go off and build your own home and make a life for yourself. So, what can you do in this game? Well, all kinds of crazy shit. By crazy shit, I mean pretty mundane shit, actually. But it's like it's a medieval life simulator, is what the game really is. So like you build. Let's look at the different structures you could do. So you have a large number of structure types. You've got houses, resource buildings, storage buildings, farming equipment and or structures, survival structures, and crafting structures. So houses, I know how to make simple small houses and simple houses. I haven't unlocked regular houses yet. And the way that you do that is over time, as you build more buildings or do different things involving certain, again, like with regular buildings, I'll learn how to build better houses over time. With different things like farming, it might be you actually have to work on farming to unlock better farming structures. So like I have to plant a field over a few seasons. I learn better, I gain more farming knowledge, and then I can build better farming buildings. So right now I can do the first two types of houses. I can't do the third type yet, but eventually I'll be able to do that, and it'll be bigger and house more people. Then you've got resources. You've got a woodshed, which that basically you need to build them in the forest. The woodshed level 1. Anybody working at that, so like you can assign your settlers jobs. You can tell a settler to work that as a lumberjack. Well, then his job is to go anywhere within 50 meters of the woodshed and look for trees that he can log. Now, the NPCs, when they go out and get wood, it doesn't actually cut down the tree. When you cut down the tree, it removes the tree from the game. And as far as I can tell, they never come back. So, like, you want to place the woodshed somewhere where your NPC is going to be able to work on it, and just leave it alone after that, other than to go repair it if it needs it. But don't mess with it, because, like I say, if you start cutting down the trees around it, he won't have anything to cut down, and then you'll have to break it and build it somewhere else. I'm at the point where I can build woodshed level 2s, which gives them 100 meters, and you can assign 2 people to work one of those instead of one. Well, I think maybe it's 1, but yeah, it gives them, it does have more worker slots, and then you can put it out in the forest, but that gives them 100 meter range around the woodshed, so it's a little bit better, obviously, than the first one. Excavation shed, you're supposed to put them in front of a mine. So like you find different caves in the game, and you can build these structures in front of those and then assign a worker. So I built one up in the mountains. I can show you guys that a little bit later if I want to run out there, I guess, and show you like my little mining excavation site that I built. But basically I got one house out there. I've got a resource storage, and I've got the excavation shed, and that guy just basically digs limestone and rocks all day. He throws it in the resource, and then you can access the resources from any of your other resource buildings. And I have 2 of them locally, so that adds to my total that I can store. But any of my people that put anything in any of the resource buildings, I can get it from any of the other resource buildings. It's like, it's just like a savings chest and a personal treasure chest, like a lot of games have, where you can just put in your personal storage. It's kind of that concept, except for you can, all your NPCs that work for you or that live in your settlement can put in whatever it is that they work on, and then you can get access to it. So this is the one thing I don't have yet, is an actual mine. And instead of just doing things like rocks and limestone, this will allow them to actually pull up iron, which you need for making better tools. Again, it says I have 3991 out of 5,000 of the technology steps to get that. So I'm getting pretty close to the point where I'll be able to build a mine. That's going to be nice because then I can make the best tools in the game. Right now I have to buy those, and they're pretty expensive. And, you know, everything in the game has a durability rating, so it all wears out eventually. And you can go buy it again, and again, it's pretty expensive. So storage, you need food storage and resource storage. As I mentioned, the resource storages can be accessed from anywhere that again, that you just go in and you open up the box. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have one of them right here. I have a barn next to it for farming. I've got houses, etc. shown. Workshop for making tools and crafting. But I go into the resource storage and see I've got logs, I've got rocks, I've got salt, sticks, straw, limestone, leather, fur, all kinds of different things in here. And then anything that your NPCs are crafting for you will show up in there as well. So as we saw there's like straw hats and shoes. I have what my wife is a shoemaker. I have her working in my sewing shop, and she makes hats and shoes there, and then I can sell them when tax season comes around for, to help cover our year. You have a tax burden every year. Like the more land you encompass with farming and with your structures, the more taxes you have to pay each year, and it's getting kind of high. But you can still pay it off in about a day by running around and just gathering stuff and selling it to the local NPCs. So it's not that hard to deal with. But I think eventually it will get pretty expensive. Next, building structure type. So we had storage, food storage. Yeah, so like basically you just get better versions of it as time goes on. And again, I can do resource storage 2, food storage 1. Food storage is based off of your farming skill, but the resource storage is just based off of building. So eventually I'll get there. It's just takes a long time. Farming stuff. So you can build a farming field so you can plant different crops. And the crops are based on the seasons, so some of them can only go in like summer, some can only go in spring or autumn, and then you pick them like 2 seasons later. You can build a barn, which is what I got over here next to me, and you can do various things that you would expect in a barn here. You can basically get seeds out of certain crops by threshing them. You can grind them into flour. You have like a little thing here. You're able to make your own types of fertilizers or animal feeds. And then daub, which I can't make yet because I don't have the technology for it. But once I get that unlocked, you can upgrade your houses with that by making a mixture of straw and clay, and then you smear it on the side of the house, and it improves the sturdiness. So like I can take my hammer, for example, and I say I want to do an upgrade, and you can see I need 6 daub per wall, and I can upgrade these houses, but I don't have that ability yet. So something coming down the pike. I will definitely be grabbing that as soon as I can get it. Next thing here, again, with so we have the barns, and again, I'm not very into farming yet. I'm doing more of it now. So I got hen house unlocked last night, and I've got a couple of chickens, and so they'll lay eggs, and you can get their feathers, and you can make arrows out of feathers. You can eat the eggs. Later on, when you get a level 2 tavern, you can cook with like a wood oven, and you can use flour and eggs and things to cook more foods and so forth. Right now, I pretty much just eat like meat from hunting and like picking mushrooms and berries and stuff, but eventually I'll be able to I'll have more things to gain different food types from and cook actual food recipes. But so that's the farming section. Other animals you can get, sorry, what's the wrong thing, you can get so I have a couple chickens right now in my hen house, but you can get goose later on, pigs, sheep, and from the sheep you can get wool to make better clothes, which is important because in the winter, if you don't have good warm clothing, your guy will freeze to death. I have enough good clothing that it's not a problem for me. I just bought it, or I crafted some of it with linen, but I don't have wool yet. And then you can get a cow eventually, which you can get milk from, and I think you can make cheese and so forth with that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you can make things with the cows, milk byproducts. Survival shack, so you can build a hunting lodge. I can do hunting lodge 2s, and then I can do fishing hut 1s. And so you can have a guy, I'll show you my fishing hut. I'm going to get some more water anyway. As you can see, my food and water meters are already about a quarter to a third of the way down just from the time I've been standing here talking. So I got a little fishing hut here. You can assign someone to work here, and they'll just they pretty much just stand here all day, but they're theoretically fishing, and the fish will start showing up in your food storage and then you can cook it, or you can do whatever you want with it. But like I see right now, I can only assign one person. Later on, when I get a fishing shed too, I imagine you'll be able to assign a couple people to it, and that improves the productivity level also. Your NPCs also have like various skill levels, just like you do. So some of them might be better at gathering or hunting. Some of them might be better at crafting. So it's a good idea to assign NPCs that are better at fishing to fishing, for example. So we've got that, and then the hunting cabin. Let me go back to that. So like the hunting lodge, which I have one of those out in the woods. They basically have a certain radius that they can run around, but they'll go out and they'll kill deer or rabbits or whatever it is that they're doing. And again, they never actually kill anything. It's like they're just going through the motions, but it adds X amount of meat and other byproducts like leather and fur to your storage over time. And then you can cook that meat, or you can do whatever you want with it to help keep your people fed. So that's the survival selection. And then the crafting, you have a workshop. In the workshop, you can just do basic tools. You can make shovels, you can make pickaxes and so forth there, but you have, or not pickaxes, I think it's the smithy. But you can make basic tools here. The smithy, you can make iron tools and so forth. Then there's a smithy level 2, which I'm about halfway to the point where I'll learn how to make those, and then you'll be able to make even better tools from that. You've got sewing, which as I showed before, you can make hats, you can make gloves, you can make shoes, clothing, that you can sell later, and you can make it out of linen and wool. And they have looms and spinning wheels, so you can convert like plant matter, like flax, for example. Flax stalks can be converted into, I think that's linen, and so forth. You can produce your own, materials to make clothes, and then make the clothes there also. And then you can have a tavern, which basically it seems like your people like that. They can gather around it. I'm almost to the point where I can make a tavern too, which would be really important because then I can cook and get the better oven access, like I mentioned. But right now I can only do the tavern 1. So those are the different options we have for crafting, buildings anyway. And then like just in general, while you're out running around, you can make simple things like I can make a stone axe, a wooden building hammer, a skinning knife, wooden spears, like I mentioned, for hunting. Simple torches can be made with sticks and straw. You can make firewood, which honestly it says it's fuel for campfires, but mostly I just make those out of sticks, so it hasn't really been necessary yet, but you can use them more later. A hoe for tilling your fields, and you can make a bag. The bags are used for putting seeds or manure in, so you can go out and fertilize your field and or spread your crop seeds. And then you can make a wash tub. Your guy gets dirty throughout the day, and so you have to take baths periodically, or I think it hurts your interactions with people. You have an archery target, so you can practice shooting your bow and arrow if you want, or my crossbow like I've got. Build fences around things, and as you go, you learn to make better fences that'll be better protection. I don't know that really matters right now, but maybe they plan to add something later, like maybe there'll be like bandit raids, or you don't fight people yet in the game, so I don't know about that. But the concept of like wolf raids is mentioned, so it's possible that you'll have to defend against animal attack, and if that's the case, you might need a nice sturdy stone or palisade wall. And you get your different campfire types. So like I said, I can do simple ones with sticks. I can use, so I do need firewood for making a wooden campfire. And then you can make rock and firewood campfires, which can be reused, I think, pretty much indefinitely as long as you add more firewood to it. And then you can make different types of traps. So I can do a rat trap, bird trap, rabbits, fishing nets, and then you can do progressively higher level fishing nets that can catch more fish. And pretty much everything that you make has durability issues. So over time, you'll need to make repairs to it or just replace it because nothing lasts indefinitely. Now you can see my guy's 22 years old, and I think I said I was 18 when I started. So I've already been playing the game for roughly 4 in-game years. I've got I don't know how long it takes before your guy will die of old age, but to my understanding, you will die of old age, and that's why you have to have a wife and a son. And I do have both of those things. That's presented fairly early in the game, where after you get through a couple of the initial chapters of the main storyline, which I'm on, what chapter am I on? So I'm on chapter 9, where I just need, basically, like, as you gain reputation with people as you do quests for them. Once I hit 5,000 reputation, I'll go to the next chapter. And every time you increase the chapter, it allows you to add more buildings. So like right now I have a limitation of 25. I've got 21 out of those 25 for 12 population. But a lot of those buildings are, different work structures and so forth. And a certain number of people can live in each house. It's usually 4 for the style of house that I'm primarily building right now. But as I mentioned, Let's see. Oh, she's working in the sewing shop. My wife's in the sewing shop. I don't know where my kid is at right now. He appears to be in the house. So this is my house. And you get to choose who lives in what house. This is my son Eric, which I didn't name him that. It's just an auto naming thing. I'm gonna light a fire so he doesn't freeze to death, because apparently, I don't think they really will, but you know, there's a chance of it. Supposedly, you can control your kid at some point by pushing V. Thus far, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. And I thought you could do it once you reach 2 years old, and my son is 2 years old, but it's not letting me do it. So I don't really understand at what point you're able to take control of the kid. But basically, as I mentioned, your main character will die of old age eventually. Like, again, I'm only 22 right now, and I've seen NPCs as high as like 50-ish. So at what point that happens, I don't know. But eventually, your guy will die of old age, and then you take over the game, playing the game as your son. So I'll play as Eric. And I imagine Eric probably has to find a wife and have kids as well, or the same kind of thing will happen. I'm not sure yet if you can have more than one child. Currently, I just have the one. I don't know if you can have sons and daughters, or if you only just ever have a son. But, you know, you're trying to make a dynasty, so theoretically, you probably want to have sons. So I've got this woman here, Gustava. She should be working that. Yeah, she's an animal breeder, but she's working to basically just to pick things from the hen house. So she's picking out the eggs and feathers. And so you see here, I can go in and look at the attributions of each of my structures. So like, what condition are they in? The houses are all in good condition. The food storages are all in good condition pretty much. Once a house gets below, or not just a house, but a structure gets below 50%, you will see, like, you'll have to run around and find whatever structure that is. It'll tell you which ones are, as I showed a second ago, which ones are damaged. And actually, you can pull them up on the map. So like, if I go here, you can see the map is showing where that building is. So like, I've got down here, you can see I'm all the way over here. Down here, I built that excavation shed, and I've got the house down there with it, and one of my resource storages is down there as well. There you go. And so those are all in good condition right now, but eventually they will, you know, they'll encounter wear and tear. Like for my fishing huts, this is at 64%. That's not very good. So eventually, when it turns red, you can repair it with your wooden hammer. You can't repair it until it turns red, so you can't really proactively keep things at 100%. I think it'd be nice if they'd let you do that, but they don't. So that is what it is. Okay, so like, this is the food storage. So I've got people, like I say, hunting and gathering, and they place the food that they get in here. So I've got all kinds of roasted meat, and as the seasons pass, your food and so forth, you see, like, this is at 12%, this is at 25%. These aren't going to last very long. So I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to keep them, and I'll just use them up myself. And I'll take the meat that I had that's in good condition and throw it in there. I kind of cycle through my various, foodstuffs so that we're not running into any problems. And I'll take out the meat and the fish, and I'll cook them. But actually, I can leave the meat in there if I want, and the guy in the tavern will slowly cook it. But man, they're really slow at it. Like, it takes them all day to cook one piece of meat. It's not really time effective, that I can tell. But this is my tavern dude, Znamir. And I can cook here. I can roast the fish, and I can roast the meat. Doesn't actually seem to show it really here, but, and as you can see, there's a cauldron on there. And when I get to the point where I can make different recipes, I'll be able to cook like porridge, and you can make like meat and like different types of stews. Like, for example, so we can do gruel, which takes 5 oats or 5 rye. Porridge takes oats. Gruel takes rye. Pottage is cabbage and meat, or cabbage and salted meat. Stew is carrots and meat, or carrots and salted meat. Soup, beetroots and meat, or beetroots and salted meat. And meat with gravy is onions and roasted meat. So you can make, like I say, different types of foods, and they give you a much greater amount back. So like, if you look at what you got, like, you can eat the meat raw, but it has a chance to poison you. It doesn't give you much food value. But if you cook it, you're at +6, and it doesn't have any chance of poisoning you. And then with fish, it gives you +8. So fish is a little bit better even than regular roasted meat. Actually, I'll show you some other methods you can do to, besides just cooking it. So like I said, you can salt it. I don't know if I have any salt. I probably have some on my storage. But basically, You can dry the meat also. This is a tree I cut down earlier and I haven't logged it off yet. I've got my hunting cabin out here. I've got 2 people assigned to that. One of them actually hunts animals. The other one gathers. So they go around and they look for, they look for berries. They look for mushrooms. Different things that people would like to eat. There it is. Okay, that's my hunting cabin over here. And like I said, this is a hunting lodge level 2. It gives me more people can work in it. I think I'm going to sign up to 4 people to work this lodge. But you have the hunting lodge 1 is pretty basic. They hunt out of it, and it's got a storage box, but that's it. But hunting lodge level 2, let's see, here's one of my hunting dudes. This is Stomir. He's probably dropping something off. Quite often it appears, like this is probably another bug. It'll appear like your NPC is just kind of standing around not doing anything. But as long as they're assigned to work there, the game will act as though they're doing their job correctly. So I got a drying rack, so I can dry meat. And although it lowers the food value from 6 to 5, apparently it allows it to stay fresh longer. So that's something important. And you can dry fish if you have fish, which I've already cooked mine, so I can't dry them. You have a salting barrel. So yeah, so you have to have salt on you. That's something that comes out of the mines. But you can salt the meat, but apparently that will dehydrate your character faster. So when you eat that, then you'll need water more often, which makes sense. And then the hunting shack has a crafting table to allow you, if you know how to make various, hunting related weapons, bows, longbow, recursive bow, stone arrows, and wooden bolts. You can craft them while you're in here. So that's kind of handy. So we'll do some dried meat. I know this is all very exciting. So this is a little neighboring town across the lake from my hometown here. So the hometown is Gustovia, and then across the lake we're in, I think, Borowo, however you pronounce that. But these are some general NPCs, and you can see any NPC that shows a little person icon over their head, along with all the little skill sets you can see here, so you can see what these people are good at and decide if you want to try to talk them into joining your settlement or not. And to talk someone into your settlement, you have to reach a level of rapport with them of 70% or higher. Otherwise, they'll basically tell you to F off. And it can be tricky because, frankly, there's really no knowing what the person wants you to say. And there's like a lot of repeated dialogue options. So hopefully that they'll expand that out a little bit too. But let's just start with this guy, for example. So this is Falamir. It says we've also got Ansgar and God is a mirror. Actually, I need more women in my settlement. I've only got like two women and my wife. The rest of them are all dudes, I think. Like I've got Oda is my wife, Eric's my son. We got Waldbert. See, I think if they're in green, they're guys, and if they're in purple, they're women. So I've only got 2 women. It's kind of a quote-unquote sausage fest going on over there. We need some gals. So we've got Godzamira. Says that she's good at mining and extraction generally, which is like she'd be good for lumberjacking basically, or sending her to a mine to work on whatever extraction work. She's decent at hunting at level 2, not good at farming, not good at diplomacy, okay at fishing, and okay at crafting. So she'd be, okay to put in as a seamstress, but she'd probably be best utilized as a lumberjack or placed in a mining excavation hut, which sounds kind of hilarious for this young-looking lady, but we could probably get her to do it. So it says her approval rating's at 50 because I've probably never talked to her before. And so you say, hey, if I tell her I have the new settlement right now, she'll say that she doesn't know me well enough because she's only at 50% approval rating. But if I say, hey, do you have a minute? There's usually, okay, so I get 2 dialogue options. Have you heard any gossip lately? Or what a day, I've been working non-stop, but I know hard work will pay off, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like a guessing game of figuring out, do you think that this person is going to be happier to talk about gossip? Do you think they'll care about, your hard work? I'll say, do you know anything about gossip? Well, she liked that. Okay, so I got 5%. So I can talk to her again. If you say something that offends them or like that costs you approval, they usually won't talk to you again until the next day. Like if you say, do you have a minute? They'll be like, no, I don't have time to talk right now. But if you say something that they liked, it'll give you another set of dialogue options. So let's ask her how she's been lately. So she liked that. I got 10%. Let's ask her again. And we know she liked that one. So it kind of just gives you some general cycling, but now she's at 70%. So I'll say, I'm creating a new settlement. Would you like to join me? Sounds good. See you there. So now she's joined my settlement. I'll do a quick save now that I've gained her. And I can immediately go in here. So as I thought, like I say, and she's only 19. Some of these guys are a little bit older, but they're in the like early 30s. But again, I suspect that over time, they'll get old and they'll die. And so I'll have to constantly cycle in younger people to live in my settlement. I don't think so far there's any way to make a family unit out of anybody but yourself, your wife, and your kid. Like, I don't think I could get Waldbert and Radka to live together, for example, and have a kid. I don't know if that's possible, but I don't see an option to do that. So let's give her a job. So like I said, she's good at like mining and extraction. She'd be decent at hunting. She'd be decent at some kind of crafting or fishing. So let's see, where do we want to send her? So we could send her to the hunting lodge because there's still 2 jobs there. Already got fishing's already filled out, so I can't put anybody else in there. What about my woodshed's already in full use, so that's out. Unless I wanted to then it kind of pays to evaluate, like, okay, well, who's doing what? Like this person. So we know that she's good at that. She's got a level 3. My lumberjack here, he's got also a level 3. And the other lumberjack is actually at a 5. So the people that are doing it are as good or better than she would be at doing it. So really trying to put her into a lumberjack position when I've already got people that are so good at it doesn't really, there wouldn't be any purpose in really bothering with that. Let's try putting her. See, it said she'd be decent at crafting. I could put her into a job at my workshop. And then I can say, I'll go to my workshop in my list of buildings and tell it that I want her to work on. I think I already had it set up to do something. Maybe not. Okay. So I could tell her to just make building hammers or spears. Some of these things are locked because I don't know how to make them yet. Again, it's like, I'll show you that in a second. There's the technology tab where you can unlock different schematics to learn how to do different things. Sticks and rocks. Well, let's see. That says there's no workers. That's because she's not in the building yet. Once she gets there, she can start working on that. She just hasn't arrived physically yet. So we'll have her work on making stone axes, and we can sell those. I mean, I need them periodically. They break as you use them, so, having a few on hand is always a good thing too. But let's go to the technology tab. So this, again, revolves around your knowledge and how much you've put in work into doing different kinds of things. So the more buildings you make, the better you get at making buildings. The more survival skills you build. I think some of this stuff is like done through your own personal actions, and some of it's done through, like, again, like the building of certain structures. But I think for survival, it's kind of like, I've killed a bunch of animals. I've done a lot of hunting. And so that probably has built up my survival skill kind of a bit. I know that this goes up as you farm. Like when I've been out tilling my field, I see the farming skills go up. And then for crafting, there again, it's like, well, I've made buku, spears and hammers and everything like that. I think this goes up as you do that. So there again, the more you get, the more buildings you'll unlock. And as you unlock those buildings, it unlocks other schematics and you can learn to make new things. So for example, resource storage number 1 unlocks the shovel. So you can make your own shovels. Shovels are used for mining for clay. There's clay deposits around where you can just dig it up with a shovel. Or, boy, I must not have very much money right now. Or you can also use it for digging up tree stumps. So when you cut a tree down, there's the stump left. You dig it up with a shovel, and it gives you 1 additional log for that, and then it permanently removes that, and then you could build there if it was in the way. Woodshed unlocks simple stick fences. There's regular stick fences I haven't paid to unlock yet. I don't really care about fences that much, but I do have the wooden fence, which uses logs to make it instead of sticks. We got log fence, which I guess just uses bigger logs. And the palisade is like vertical standing logs with like pointed, basically it's like tall spears. Stone fences I can't do yet. And then it doesn't really tell you what's in the other ones until you unlock those tiers. So I can't tell yet what I would unlock with those. For survival, you can unlock different types of bows and different types of traps. So I have a bird trap. You get, a little bit of meat and some feathers out of that. When you first start the game, some of these things are really handy because, it's like you can't hunt very well yet. Your guy doesn't have the skills to do certain things. So you can get some things passively by having a trap laid out. Fishing hut, for some reason, unlocks longbow, stone campfire, rat trap. Again, these are handy little traps that you can put out. But these take like linen thread to make, and again, it's like you have to pay for those. It's not a good cost to productivity ratio. But some of these things are more useful than others. Hunting lodge, stone pike is better than a regular wooden spear, but once you get a bow or, like I said, a crossbow that I've bought, spears are not practical. Like these are even heavier than the wood spears, and wood spears, like you can only carry like 4 of them, and then it's an encumbrance, and it's a problem because you're trying to go out and hunt animals with them, and every time you throw the spear, you got to go pick it back up if you missed, and even if you didn't miss, like I said, the animal will run off with it stuck in its neck and act like it's not hurt, and so it's corny. It's like spears are not desirable as soon as you can get a bow and arrow. Like you don't want to go back to spears. Recursive bow is, I think it's the best bow you can get. Medium fishing net lets you catch more fish. Big fishing net lets you catch more fish again, etc. So we looked at that. Here, there's nothing for that. Barn one lets you make flour, and like I said, once I get a tavern level 2, I can use the flour to make more of it. Like I think you can bake bread and get into some better quality food items. I just don't have that tavern yet, but I will soon. Animal feed you can learn from here. I don't think that the hens actually need to be fed, which is a little bit weird, but I haven't noticed that they have any kind of a food meter or anything. But I think later when you get pigs and bigger animals, you have to make food to keep them going. And I think also it's required for them to breed and make more of that same type of animal. You have to keep them fed. And so this teaches you how to make that. Cudgel is like a little club you can use for just beating animals instead of having to shoot them, I guess. Saves you some ammo. Goose house. See, that's where I need to get to make the daub, because once I can make that, I can start upgrading my houses, which would be nice. And then again, it's not going to tell me well, okay, maybe you just don't unlock anything with these. This gives you shearing scissors, so you can shear a sheep and use the wool. Learns how to make buckets for carrying around water, I guess. Not really sure what you need that for, actually. Barn. Nothing from that. Stack arrows, sewing. So you learn how to make all your different types of clothing here. The tavern doesn't do anything. Smithy unlocks iron crafting equipment. You need a scythe when you want to, when you want to take care of your field that you've sown, rye, for example. Once it finishes growing, you've got to go out and you got to cut it all down with your scythe and then replant afterwards. So you need that for dealing with your crops. Pickaxe you have to use if you want to. You can find like larger rocks laying or smaller rocks laying around. You can just pick up, but larger, like small boulders or whatever, you can. You don't really break it up, but it's like a resource node, and you can mine through it with a pickaxe. Okay, so here's the tavern too. Okay, like I was talking about, so there's flatbread with onions, oat rolls, rye bread, wheat bread, multigrain, and white bread. So that'll be nice. Once I get to the point I can make those. Those are good food items. Those might give you back like 20, 30, or 40, food units as opposed to like 5 or 6 or maybe 8 from a piece of meat. So that's, you want to get to that point where you can make those. Smithy 2, better, more iron tools again, iron hoe. They have a lot higher durability is pretty much the only real difference than like the lower ones. And then like the weapons do more damage. Obviously they're made of iron. Oops, I went the wrong way. Sewing 3, better types of hats again, more shoes, bigger fur items, felt, and tavern 3. So you can make like meat pies and fruit pies. Now what's funny is like I've seen NPCs that sell pears and apples and things like that, but there's nowhere in the game to actually get them unless you buy them from the NPCs. Like there's no apple trees that I've seen. There's nothing like that. So you can't, just go out and shake down a tree and get apples. You have to just buy them from an NPC, which is kind of dumb. So it's nighttime, and I don't feel like trying to walk back to my house. So what I can do is build a campfire. See, there's that NPC. She's walking off to join our village. But I'm going to be lazy, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sleep here for the night. Now, you can't sleep real close to the village, but if you get a little distance away from it, and you get enough sticks together, you can just kind of come out here in the woods and say, oh, I want to make a campfire. Still says I'm too close to the village. There we go. And you have to have a torch already on hand to light that. And you can cook there if you have any meat to cook. I don't have any uncooked meat. Or you can just tell it you want to sleep here. And suddenly or the next day. I guess what I'll do now maybe is show you guys some hunting. So I'm going to go try to find some animals and I'll show you that. Alright, so there's a little deer off in the distance there you can see right out in front of me. And one of the skills I've picked up lets me get like sort of a heat vision or something. Okay, you can see back up there behind it, there's actually a bison. And there's another deer. So we've got a few different options here. Now the bisons are dangerous. The deer are not and won't attack you unless you shoot them. Well, they won't attack you at all. The bisons in red, they can just attack you if they get close enough and don't like you being in their territory. And they will mess your shit right up. So, oh, there's another one over there. And one thing I've noticed is that dangerous animals quite often seem to be in pairs, but you may not notice the second one, and like they use that to their advantage to kill you. Like wolves will pull that shit, where you'll kill one and you swear there's no other ones around, and you go up to gut the thing, and suddenly another one will come up and just murder you. So keep that in mind. I'm going to try to get this buck here. And direct hit to the throat. Usually a throat shot is an instant kill, but you'll find quite often they'll just run around and, well, it looked like it was in the throat. Yeah, right through it. A lot of times you can recover your ammunition, but sometimes, like there's I think a 20% chance that any projectile you fire will just break, and you can gain a skill that will lower that chance. So eventually you get to the point where your ammo doesn't have much of a chance of breaking, and that way you don't have to keep making new stuff. I'll show you the skill trees here real quick. Excuse me. So the extraction tree, basically you can speed up how fast you can do certain things. Like I've elevated my wood cutting to the point where it's 100% faster. So like, you know, using a stone axe, it used to take me like 6 or 7 swings to take down a tree. Now it takes me 3. If I use an iron axe, I can do it in 2. So that's an important one if you want to cut down a lot of trees, and if you're going to be doing a lot of building, structures, which you will, you'll need to, you don't have to do it, but it helps. It's more efficiency out of your axe, because you figure every time you swing the axe at a tree, it damages the axe, and eventually you have to build another one. Well, if you're doing the trees twice as fast or 3 times as fast, that's less damage your axe takes. And you can also, I think it's, see, Force of Nature, slower durability loss to your axe. So I've only got that at level 1, but eventually I can improve that further and get to the point where the axe takes less durability loss, and I'm already cutting the trees down faster, so I don't go through that many axes. Similar with the miner, you can improve how fast you can pull up stones with your pickaxe. Iron Seeker, okay, 10%. Okay, so that apparently I might be able to find iron right now with a pickaxe. This just gives you a bigger chance to find it when mining. That's interesting. I might start trying that then. Mule, that's something I want to get next whenever I unlock it. I need another 668 points. So basically every time you mine a node or cut down a tree or whatever it is, you get some skill points into this, and when it flops over to the next level, you can put a skill point into one of these. And so mule will be good because that gives you another 5 kilograms of weight limit. Right now I have 35. You'll use that fast. So Excavation Master, 10% less consumption of stamina for mining, digging, etc. Woodcutter's Trance, faster tree cutting for the next. It's like a buff, which I don't think that these are particularly useful sounding unless you're trying to cut down like a whole forest in rapid succession. But hunting, so this is pretty handy, where you have steady hand will make it so your hands don't wobble as much. It says it's a work in progress though. I don't really notice any problem with it, so maybe they're going to try to add a system where your guy starts to wobble until you work on that. I don't know. Okay, so here's the one I mentioned where your ammo has less chance to break. Tracker is the one I was talking about. So in Spectre mode, you hold Alt, and it's kind of like Witcher 3 when your guy kind of changes his vision and zooms in and can see different things. So you can see the deer are in green, and it's kind of handy because I can see them through the trees. It's like heat vision or whatever. So if you shoot them with a projectile and then they run off, you can kind of track which direction they went and continue to follow them instead of losing sight of the animal. So that's handy. What else did we have? Oops, sorry. Bottomless bag lets you carry more arrows in your quiver. 10% faster moving while sneaking. 5% slower melee and range durability loss. So like makes your bow last longer and your melee weapons last longer if you use one of those cudgels. Trapping Master lets you put out more traps. That's helpful because right now you can only put out one of each kind. Or that's all I can do. Strong Arm, slower stamina consumption when aiming. Lock and load, 10% faster bow drawing and crossbow loading. That'd be handy because that crossbow is kind of slow. For farming, so lower durability loss on tools. Let's see, crop cultivation tools, slower durability loss, faster sheep shearing. A lot of these things to me almost seem kind of meaningless unless you were sitting there. Like, I've never seen that many sheep in the game, so again, it seems sort of like, why the heck would you need to shear them that much faster? But whatever. Okay, it reduces the number of seeds needed to sow vegetables by 20%. So that's sort of interesting. I'm not sure how that works exactly. Catcher in the oat reduces the number of seeds needed to sow grain. Faster milking of cows, which again, I don't have any cows. Cows cost like $5,000. It's crazy. I've never had $5,000 yet. Night Rider, mechanics not yet available, unlocks the ability to ride horses. I'm not seeing horses in the game, so again, this is all early access. These things aren't in the game yet. Less stamina used for shearing, etc. Less stamina for plowing and harvesting. Diplomacy, so you can get, basically this just covers, I'm going to kind of try to speed this up, but basically this covers, let's see, yeah, like you can get more reputation from doing quests. Lower prices. This is giving gifts, but it's work in progress. I haven't figured out how to use that yet. The one that's, let's see, diplomacy knowledge. So yeah, okay. So like the first one in each tier, if you get, or in each one of these, if you pump that up a little bit, then your actions give you more points more quickly. So like the next time around, you'll level twice as fast, kind of thing. Diplomacy. This is what, survival knowledge. So this is pretty useful. Like I increased this to level 2, but I have better temperature tolerances now. So during the winter, like I don't have to wear as warm of clothes. And during the summer, conversely, like the fact if I'm wearing warm clothes, it doesn't make me get too hot that quick. Otherwise, I was freezing in the winters before when I first started. And once I worked on this a little bit, that helped. Iron liver prevents better chance of not being poisoned from bad foods. Sensing mushroom. Okay, so this is good. Inspector, well, in the winter, I guess this isn't going to show you anything in the winter to speak of, but when there's plants growing that you can pick, like mushrooms or like what is it, St. John's wort and other plants you can pick to sell, the inspector mode, you'll be able to see those from a distance, and then you can just run over and start picking all the plants as opposed to trying to visibly look at the ground and discern what that plant is. It's much easier when you can just use inspector mode, and so that's a really useful skill early on. Let's see, survivalist. Slower loss of, yeah, see, I maxed that one out. Otherwise, like, you go through food and water really fast, but I've got a 30% reduction to that because I maxed that skill. Strong as an oak, 10% more health. That'd be pretty helpful, but at the same time, you don't really encounter combat that much. As long as you kill enemies from a ranged, with a ranged weapon, you're pretty good. By enemies, I mean like wolves and boars, bears, and bison need to be, I don't know how you'd melee those. Wolves, maybe, but even then it's pretty tough. Bigger net limit for fishing. Water dancer, so that's in progress. Faster movement in water. Lower stamina loss for movement. And then for the crafting knowledge one, you get faster making of wooden and stone objects. Faster sewing. Upgrading and downgrading of house modules. Now, I've maxed that out, but I haven't figured out what it does beyond the initial ability to use Daub to upgrade your buildings. It's like the 2 additional tiers don't seem to have done anything, so I don't know if they're really useful or not. Cooking, you can do 10% faster. Blacksmithing can be made faster. Tailoring can be made faster. Baking can be made faster. And when I get to the point where I can actually cook, I'll be able to use that. I don't even know why I grabbed that. It was just something to do, I guess. Building master, less stamina consumption, making buildings. Lower stamina or durability loss to your hammers when you build. So that's the different perks, basically. And we've done a little hunting. So I guess, what else should we do? I think I'll go to a town, and I'll show you guys some of the NPCs. And well, we already been to an NPC town. What should we do? What should we do? Maybe try to find some dangerous animals or something, like some wolves. We saw the bison here a minute ago, but I know that there's wolves up here. I'll find something more dangerous. Well, here's a buffalo. That'll work. I couldn't find any wolves right off the bat, although I'm sure they're around. Let's see if I can fight this dude without getting myself into a world of shit. This is, again, the problem with the crossbow that I found is the slow loading time. Quit moving. Oh, I seem to have made him angry. Load faster. Yeah, you pretty much got to go for them headshots so you're done. Call it a wisent or a wisent. I've never heard that term before, but I suspect it's another term for buffalo or bison. Or maybe it's an offshoot of that species. Well, hopefully this has been a fun video for you guys. I think I'll finish out here and I'll do a little demo of the game using Reshade. I installed that with and I kind of got a nice looking preset going. Adds some nice depth of field to the game, makes it look real pretty. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope the content was kind of enjoyable. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys again real soon. But like I said, I'll show you guys Reshade here and do a little bit of a walkthrough, just enjoying the scenery. So take care.